Google 4409 for a channel that is like mine. I'd like to bounce some thoughts off of everybody with regard to this continuing saga of apparent American decline. There's a lot of things that I've noticed that have gone missing from our lives over the last few years. And I just wanted to mention what some of them were. But I don't want this to be a downer. I don't think American decline is inevitable. Anyway, there was the first thing I noticed was this, in the early 2000s, there's this great service called mp3.com. Now, a lot of people used to use Napster. It went away. There's also a service called mp3.com, which was sort of like a legal, completely different version, different kind of music service. And it was just the perfect music service. Well, it goes out of business and is never replaced. I don't know why. That was the first thing I noticed that was wrong, and it never occurred to me that that was something wrong with the country. Well, of course, Napster went away. Then we noticed that recently, a freedom we had, not a freedom so much, it's just a commercial ability that Americans had up until just a few months ago. Well, now you cannot buy things on eBay unless you use PayPal or a credit card or something like that. You can do it, but it's complicated, it's difficult, it's not practical. And so that's another thing we've lost. It's like, I don't know, it's like we keep losing little things. Going to the moon is not a little thing, though. We had that. 40 years ago, Americans could go to the moon. Now they can't. There's some sort of a complex NASA plan to spend many billions of dollars just trying to recreate the Apollo mission, and they don't even think they have a timeline for getting it done in the next 10 years. And now this next problem is not necessarily an American decline, but a symbol of Western decline. You used to be able to fly across the Atlantic in 2-3 hours using supersonic aircraft. Now, civilians cannot do that. The Concorde aircraft has been taken out of business. All these things it feels like we're sliding into a new dark age. And these are just the very, very early symptoms, I think. There's probably more to come. But none of this is natural. None of this needs to be happening. And none of it is inevitable. It's being imposed upon us artificially by our governments. In the case of Napster especially, the government directly made Napster go away. But so many other services do not exist, or they go out of business in the United States because of heavy regulation. Just stop for a second and imagine what the world outside you would look like if it were easier to start a business, say 50% easier. Well, it would probably mean there would be 50% more businesses. And, hang on a second. For example, think of the Mahler Sky Car. There have been flying cars available in the United States since the early 70s, or at least the technology has been available. There have been prototypes up and around. No government in the United States will allow you to fly them on any kind of practical basis. So, what would it look like? What would America look like if we didn't have such heavy regulation on innovation? Would we have long lines at airports? Would we have road problems? Would we have transportation issues? Probably we would have some of all of the above, but we would have less of it than we do now if the government would just get out of the way and let people build a flying car and sell it. If the United States wants to be the world's leader again, that one step by itself might almost do it. It would certainly prevent a lot of the problems that we've got coming down the pike and generate a lot of new economic activity. But there's nothing really inherently wrong with the American people or the geography or the times or anything like that. It's just an artificially generated problem. Government killing business, government killing growth, killing innovation, killing success. It's government, the root of our problem, and if we can get it off our backs, we can walk out of this crisis a better country than we are today. Just some thoughts. Stay Ridley signing off for RidleyReport.com this December 19th, 2008. This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by a very similar YouTube channel.
You are a suspicious vehicle.
To find them, just Google 4409 for a channel that is like mine.
You want to come out of the car?
Google 4409 for a channel that is like mine.